learning modules, AAC in education, and the host today is Gillian McNeill, who is one of the speech and language therapists at CALL Scotland. So we can see that some of the guests today on the webinar are having difficulty with the sound, but you will be able to hear us on the recording. And also any chat that takes place in the recording, names will be anonymised, okay, so there'll be no information about you other than just any messages that you leave. And you will need sound to listen to this. However, if you watch the recording, which will probably be available tomorrow or the day after, you will be able to listen to it with sound. So just some things about the webinar. Gillian's put up some resources here. So these are clickable links. You can see you can click on here and download the files. Okay, that's Sarah just saying sound is working now. Great stuff. Okay, so yeah, so you've got these clickable links where you can put in the download your posters. I'm just looking at the text pane that's coming in. So I'm going to, without any sort of me yapping on, I'm going to introduce Gillian. Hello, Gillian, are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm here. Thanks very much, Craig.
Yep. Gillian's in Edinburgh and I'm in Linlithgow, and it's glorious sunshine in Linlithgow. How's it, Edinburgh?
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful here. Yeah,
okay,
yeah, really stuff. Lovely. Sunny Edinburgh.
So would you like me just to forward you into your presentation, Gillian? Yeah, so you can get started.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
fantastic.
So thanks, Gillian, and we'll make a start now. Okay,
okay, that's super. Gillian. Thanks very much, Craig. Great. Well, a very warm welcome to everybody who's joining the webinar today, and looking forward to talking to you about the AAC in Education online learning modules. First of all, I'd just like to give you some contact details, because we do like to stay in touch with anybody with an interest or practitioners in AAC, and there's a number of different ways that you can keep in contact with us. I've just put up on my first slide. I've put our email contact, our website where you can sign up for our monthly newsletter if you would wish, and we're active on social media, so please get tweeting about the webinar and the resource, either and copy put our tags in. So my tag at GX McNeill and the general CALL Scotland tag as well. So other ways to connect with us are via Facebook and also Pinterest. So just a couple of other links for you there. So just moving on then, our next slide. What are the webinar learning outcomes for today? Well, we hope to provide you with an overview of the online learning modules so that you'll have knowledge of the content, and you'll be able to sort of make a judgment on how you might approach using them. But also, I'm hoping that you can pass on this knowledge to other people that you might work with or support. So hopefully this will help you to pass that on so other people can benefit from using them. And finally, we're always looking for or welcome feedback on the usefulness of the resource, and if there's a chance maybe at the end for you to give some initial feedback on the usefulness, then that would be great, so that we can you know, we're always looking for suggestions for sort of updating them and improving them in any way. So I say that's what we're hoping to achieve today. We'll cover a wee bit about the background to the modules. We'll cover also kind of who they're for, so who we might expect to use them, where you can find them, and what they look like. And as Craig mentioned, there's a couple of the resources that are available to download. There's a leaflet that you can print off, which is a sort of A5 size leaflet that might be something you could use for sharing with other people with some information about the modules. And the other resource actually is a poster, so you can print. There's two posters actually, there's two sides to it. You can print off maybe A4 or A3 size and use it just to display, again, to you know, provide information for other people about the modules. Just before we go on to looking at the AAC and education modules, I want to briefly mention the first set of modules. So we have we have a Series 1 and a Series 2 set of modules. So Series 2 is the AAC and education modules. But prior to that, back in 2014, we were commissioned by NES, the Scottish Education for Health organisation, to create these modules. So the first series actually was at a kind of more basic universal level, and they're called An Introduction to AAC. And I'll just forward to show you. Oh, some of my visuals have gone. But the introduction to AAC includes information on communication in everyday life, communication support needs. It gives you an introduction to AAC, how to help make communication work, and also inclusive communication. So these are really for anybody to use, not just staff in education, but anybody that might come into contact with a person with a communication difficulty of any kind. So we suggest very much that you would have a look at these modules first before going on to the AAC and education modules. So both of these series of modules were written by my ex-colleague Sally Miller. Some of you might know her, a past joint coordinator and specialist speech and language therapist here at CALL. And the content really is based on her experience of working for about 30 years in the field. So it's lots and lots of knowledge that she gained through her work supporting children and adults with AAC. But also just to give a wee plug to Craig, who introduced this webinar, because it was Craig that actually put the modules into the format they're in today, the online format, which makes them free for anybody to access. And Craig's our Assistive Technology Officer, and took many hours to get these up and running for you.
Many hours.
Thought you might chip in there somehow, Craig. So Craig tells me that the modules will run on your PC or your tablet, so your iPad, etc. And they are designed to be accessible to switch users and users of screen readers. So this introduction to AAC for any NHS staff in Scotland, if you wish to include this learning as part of your TURAS Learn, which is the online learning platform for NHS, they are now available within that resource. So moving on then to the AAC in education, so the second series of modules. You'll see there's 7 of these as opposed to the 5 short modules in the introductory series. And we do recommend that you have a look, or that everybody would complete the first module, setting the scene. However, the other modules can be viewed really in any order, or you can dip into any of them, and there's no need really to move sort of sequentially through them. They all pretty much sit as standalone. So we're often asked, how long would it take to complete the modules? And that's quite a difficult question for us to answer, because within the modules you could probably skim through fairly quickly, but equally so there's lots of opportunity to sort of delve a bit further into a topic, and also links out with the modules to websites. So you could obviously spend a lot longer if you choose to do that, and so we estimate maybe about 40 hours to complete them, going into that kind of level of depth. But I say we can't really be any more sort of prescriptive on how long it might take you to complete them. So who might find these AAC in education modules helpful? They are aimed at staff with a basic level of knowledge of communication difficulty in AAC, and that's why we recommend that you would have already, if you don't start with that, that you already have a look at the Introduction to AAC series of modules. But they are for those who are supporting children and young people in schools to use AAC strategies and equipment. So teachers, class teachers, learning support teachers, subject teachers, nursery teachers, support for learning assistants, classroom assistants, nursery nurses. We expect that therapists or other visiting specialists might find them useful, and also students, particularly teaching students or maybe therapy students too, useful for those on the school management team and any agencies that might be involved in monitoring schools, such as the school inspectors, etc. And also others, of course, families and other people who might be involved in supporting the transition from school into adult life. So what's in it? Well, it's the purpose really is to focus in on the AAC learner and good outcomes for the learner. It's based on, or it's evidence-based, although it's not academic in any way in sort of the tone or the style, so it's hopefully accessible to many people. It's not really an assessment or a resource to select an AAC system or aid for a child or AAC equipment, but it does focus very much on how to support the implementation of a range of AAC systems used by learners. There's lots of signposting out to other resources, as I mentioned, and it's presented in the sort of multimedia format with lots of images and photographs and videos, and at the end of the module, or each of the sections, simple questions to test your knowledge. The content of the module does very much highlight Scottish educational frameworks and resources, although not exclusively. So we hope that if you're not working in Scotland, that you'll still be able to benefit from a sort of considerable amount of the content. So Sally consulted with a number of other AAC experts when she wrote the modules, and in particular a local AAC service in Edinburgh called KeyCom, and also another service close to us in Fife called the Fife AAC team. So here we are. What we're actually going to do is to just very shortly start a sort of a walkthrough of the modules. This is something that I prepared earlier because it's quite tricky, sort of navigating through the modules and sort of narrating them at the same time. So, so really to ensure that we get a good overview, we're just going to start that so that we can dip into each of the 7 sections and you can get a good feel or a good sense of the look and the feel. So I'll just start that right now.
So here we are on the AAC Scotland website. The web link is aacscotland.org.uk, which will take you there directly. There's also a link from the front page of the CALL Scotland website if you choose to take that route. So click on the AAC module tab on the left side of the tab bar to show both sets of modules. At the top, you'll see the first series, An Introduction to AAC. Scrolling down a bit, you'll see the second series, AAC in Education, and links to each of the 7 modules within it. We recommend that you view and complete Module 1 first, but thereafter the others can be viewed individually depending on your learning needs and what you want to learn about. Or you can complete them all in any order. So let's have a look at the first module within this, Setting the Scene, and examples of some slides showing images, videos, links to external web pages and downloadable resources. At the start, there's some guidance on using the modules, before setting out the learning objectives. So the purpose of this module is to introduce and describe communication support needs and reasons why language and communication are central to learning and life skills in general. You're prompted to reflect on the value you place on AAC as a tool for learners, how you might approach AAC support in your role, and how ready your school is for implementing its use. You'll see that navigation through a module is easy with bottom, right, next and previous buttons on PC. There's arrow keys when viewing on a tablet. To help you navigate to a specific slide, if you wish to go back and read a slide after you have been through them all, there's a menu button at the top right. By clicking on this, the slides and numbers are displayed as clickable links. Let's jump to a slide about communication support needs. Within this slide, you'll see pop-ups highlighting different aspects, such as things to be aware of, identifying and assessing needs, considering AAC early on, and links to additional web-based resources for more information on typical speech and language development. The next slide, What Can Help, provides information about communication approaches, including a definition of AAC. There's also further information about AAC if you need it. This includes some videos, a leaflet to download, and a link to the Series 1 introductory modules if you haven't already viewed these. Each module typically ends with a quiz to test your learning, sometimes true and false, like this, or other simple formats such as matching similar statements. There's a certificate to download and print on completion of each module. To return to the AAC Scotland webpage, click on Return. Module 2, Communication Friendly Schools, addresses the benefits of making schools as accessible and inclusive for all pupils, most importantly those with different levels of communication support needs, with 6 steps to achieve this and examples of school symbol inclusion projects. Within this module, there are examples of symbol resources to download, such as this swimming kit reminder board. Here's the 6 steps mentioned with explanation of each step. Thereafter, each of the steps are covered in much more detail, explored through videos, links and resources to download. Module 3, Augmentative Communication in Practice, addresses practical strategies to support AAC and integrate AAC into daily school life, covering 6 fundamental issues, including having access to an AAC system at all times, balancing expectations, creating opportunities for communication, approaches to vocabulary selection and teaching, supporting implementation and equipment management. Module 4, Educational Frameworks, highlights how communication is at the heart of the Scottish curriculum and how education is informed by legislation, policy and guidelines. The module addresses rationale for planning and recording targets, assessment, planning, monitoring and recording techniques and tools, including setting appropriate targets for AAC learners. Module 5, Supporting Teaching and Learning, addresses how to adapt the curriculum and teaching approaches with a focus on 4 important aspects. The first covers rationale for differentiating the curriculum. The second, resources for teaching learners with profound, severe and complex additional support needs. Then teaching language and literacy with inclusive literacy approaches and a particularly useful literacy journey to download. And finally, ICT for education. Module 6, Working Together, addresses the need for team working and the many roles involved in supporting a learner with complex communication support needs where AAC is involved. It includes working in partnership with parents and families and strategies for involving and consulting learners. Module 7, Communication for Life, focuses on supporting transitions from school to adult life for young people who use AAC, with a transition project example, case study and resources for preparing for transitions, including personal communication passports. I hope you find this.
So that was just a bit of a whistle-stop tour there, but hopefully we've given you a real flavour for
you find this overview.
7 modules within the AAC in Education modules. What I'd like to do is just to show you the website where the modules are and some additional resources that you might find sort of complementary to our modules. So I'm just going to share my screen and show you. So we're now actually looking at the AAC Scotland website, and what I wanted to highlight were some additional videos that we've popped onto this website. I think 1 or 2 of them are in the modules, but you'll see some additional videos here particularly from AAC users and from other practitioners in AAC. So I say have a look and see if there might be anything within the website itself that might be useful to you. But also what I wanted to highlight in the AAC courses and events is another set of modules, online learning modules, and these were also commissioned by NHS Education Scotland, NES, but they were produced by Manchester Metropolitan University, and these very much focus on AAC assessment. There's 2 sections, Module 1 and Module 2. So if you visit our website, go to this tab and click on the Manchester Metropolitan University, you'll be able to access these online modules too. So just finally to mention, I'm just going to come out of screen sharing and go back to my presentation, which is here. If you could just pop that on, Craig. There's been one slight change since we made that overview, and that is we've included a feedback form for completion when you complete each of the modules within AAC in Education. And we've already had some feedback which has been really positive. It doesn't take very long at all to fill it in. You're just asked for a bit of basic information, which module you've completed, a rating from 1 to 5, and then 3 key questions. And this is a wee selection of some of the feedback that we've had to date, things that people particularly liked, the videos that they could watch AAC in sort of practice, summaries of frameworks and sort of practical application, and other comments such as how clear and well laid out the content is. So would really now just like to sort of finish up a wee reminder of where to access the modules, and also to ask you if you have any sort of immediate feedback or any questions at all. So
okay, thanks Gillian. We'll just go back to the main homepage.
That's fine.
And if you do have any questions, could you please pop them into the box just here. Any questions for Gillian? Just type them in. Thanks everyone for hanging on as well. Such a nice day. And while Linda's typing in a question, just remember these are the downloadable files you can get as well. Okay, so even if you can't get them just now, you can access the recording and you can still get access.
Yeah, so they'll be available when the webinar's archived. So Linda's saying, this is wonderful. Thank you so much for making it available to all, even in other countries. That's great. I take it you're in another country, Linda. So, oh, fantastic. Oh, well, really, if you've got any other feedback once you've had a chance to look at them in more detail, we really would welcome it. So it's great that you can join us, that you've joined us today, Linda. Yep.
Just out of interest, Linda, what time is it where you are? It's 4:30 in the afternoon here. Early morning, is it?
Oh, wow.
8:20.
That's work commitment. Well done, Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
Small group of teachers. Yeah, we've actually suggested that people might use them as a group. Maybe as part, that's Sarah's question, maybe as part of an in-service day. So I think that that they would be suitable to use in that way. So yeah, I think obviously provided you maybe have a look at the content and pick and choose, depending on how much time you have available. But I expect that they would certainly generate a lot of discussion within a group of teachers or other staff. So yeah, certainly advise you to use them in that way too. So Paula, yeah, thanks. We look forward to getting started, and yeah, that's great. Switches in AAC, it doesn't really cover the sort of equipment in detail, I would say. It's just more of a description of the types rather than sort of the details. So yeah, the issue with equipment is, of course, equipment does tend to change from time to time. So yeah, it'll cover different approaches, including sort of low tech and high tech, but not necessarily sort of specific switches or specific equipment. So sound worked fine, and Sarah's going to complete them first. Yeah, then look at using them in in-service training. Great. So I think we'll maybe finish up there, Craig. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks everyone for joining us this afternoon or this morning.
Great comments.
And thanks to Gillian as well for doing such a great presentation.
That's it.
And
welcome.
Yeah, thanks. If you do have any comments, Gillian, do you want to pop your email address into the box down below? I know you left it earlier.
Yeah, no, not at all.
If anybody wants to
get in touch with me directly, I'm more than happy to make contact with you.
And please give us any feedback. Also, if you see any errors or mistakes or anything like that, please tell us about them as well, so we can go in and
That's
make
more
those
work
changes.
for you, Craig.
Yeah. Okay, thanks everyone.
Right,
okay.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good evening or a good day. Thanks, Gillian.
Thanks, then.
Thanks, everyone.